What's up? CSGO tips number 13. In the last video, I very briefly, casually mentioned about reading habits in terms of helping you make decisions off of your option listing. And in this video, I'm going to talk about reading habits. So reading habits is really not something you can explain and have people understand and know what to do. Reading habits is a skill, is more of a memory skill and understanding logic statements basically. And what I mean by that is if X then Y, logic statements like that. So I'll give you an example here. On cache as a CT, it's very common for people to smoke mid garage, molly boost. That's a habit, right? That's something you can pick up on if they do it all the time, and most teams will do that off the time. So when you, let's say, are AT and come mid, you need to remember that the first time you see it. Oh, they smoked mid, then they molly boost. And then the second time you come mid on, let's say, the next round, you have to be worried for that again, right? That's something they've done before. You want to keep that in your mind so that you don't fall for it again, if there's anything to fall for. Now let's take a better example. I am a CT in your casual matchmaking game. I smoke mid garage and then I nade through. Right? This is also very common, a very common thing to do. Now as a T, let's say you want to run out mid, right? And of course you don't know what the CT is going to do on the very first gun round, so you kind of just do your standard lurk smoke, flash out. That's my way of flashing out. And then all of a sudden you get hit by a nade and you're down to like 50 HP. So when that happens, you have to remember that, right? As, you know, as you become a better player, it becomes less about fundamentals in terms of like movement, shooting, opping, recoil control, whatever. It becomes more about knowledge. It becomes more about how to play the map, what are good things to do on this part of the map, how do people like playing the map itself, you know, how do you change what you do in order to beat what they are doing. So reading habits is one of those higher level concepts that you need to be able to understand and apply to whatever habits you're facing. So again, we're going to go back to this. If you notice that the CT all the time likes playing, or likes throwing that nade and then after the smoke, and you want to do a fast mid, you want to rush out mid, well, you're going to eat that nade if you just go straight out. So what you can do is throw your nade set, your initial nade set, understand that they like nading mid, where it's very common for them to do it, wait right here just for like 3 seconds, not even 3 seconds. The nade will blow. By the time you see the smoke bloom, you'll take like 2 damage, which is nothing, and then you can run out. And this comes, reading habits turns into adaption, where you understand what they do so that you can counter that. If they like nading, then you wait for the nade, and what you can do is reflash like that, and then come out and do whatever you wanted to do out mid. Right? So you do that. Oh, there goes the nade, and then you flash out again. And that's your adaption. That's reading the habit of them always nading mid all the time. Reading habits can get a lot deeper too. It's not just about nade sets. It's like literally anything that they do commonly in terms of positioning, nade usage, player count. Player count meaning how many people they play in the area. What their rotations are, what their nade set is, other parts of the map. But we're going to talk about mid on cache for now, just to keep it simple. One of the most common spots to play on mid is Z. So what you'll see very commonly is a CT holding this angle here, or if your mid is smoked off, they might be holding boost right here. So if you keep running out mid, and you notice that every time you come out mid, he's always in Z by himself, then you know, okay, he's always playing Z. I'm just gonna smoke him out and force him to play something else. When you come out mid, he's not just always gonna sit there and like fall back from the smoke. He could swing out wide uh, onto this ramp. He could go straight to firebox. He could be white box. And this ties into option listing, where you have to understand what CT can do after you smoke him out in Z, or more generally, how the CT can play mid based on how many people they commit to playing mid early. So if you know it's always 2-on-2 with one player mid only, then if you smoke Z, you know, okay, I can throw a flash like this to make him turn, and if he's white box, I'll catch him here or here. And then finally, if this is all clear, you can molly sandbag, and then you can clear him out. So option listing and reading habits. You know he likes playing Z a lot, so you smoke him out, and then you cut off all of his other options. Now, if they play 2 mid, it becomes a little more tricky, because you can't just smoke out Z. Sure, you could try throwing some white box smoke like this, but that doesn't always eliminate the player from white box. Never mind my terrible smoking, because I don't have a jump throw bind anymore. So if you know that they're playing a one white box and one Z all the time, then you have to figure out ways to control that, or to fight them. Obviously, boosting is an option. You can throw the lurk smoke that or a lot of people rather, like throwing. You can delay take mid with a wall of smoke, where you do this smoke and then that smoke. Right? See, notice I'm option listing again? But like, the point is, if you know they playing 2 mid, you have to figure out a way to combat them, or to find a weakness in their playstyle. So if you know they like playing 2 mid and they have 1 A, right? They have one anchor A, let's say quad, and you know the other guy is the like rotator between highway, then you can try to isolate this highway guy. You can throw your cross smoke, pop flash yourself to take A really fast, or to fight the guy A. Option listing. But the core idea in this video that I'm focusing on is you're reading what they're doing. You understand what the CTs like to do in their setup. You understand what their mental flowchart is internally, and from there you can kind of exploit their flowchart and just kill them, really. Now, of course, when you play yourself, you have to understand your own flowchart, and you have to understand what your habits are and why your habits are either working or not working. And especially if they're not working, you have to understand why they're not working. Sometimes when things don't work on your T side, or even your CT side, sometimes you're just straight up getting out aimed and dicked on, and you can't do anything about that aside from just gang up on people all the time. But that's not realistic. Sometimes you just lose and you can't help it, and that's fine. Just accept the fact that they're better than you, and you move on to the next game and try to learn something from that game. Alternatively, if nothing's working, sometimes you just have to try something completely wild and like not something that they expect, right? If you've been playing slow rounds all the time, like a standard default every round, then if you throw something fast at them, they might not expect it and they might be caught off guard. Like a very fast B split, for example. If you're gonna be the splitter, you can do your classic smoke flash out, break vent, clear a white box as you come out, or if you want to delay by like 3 seconds, you can throw this, and then pop straight into vent and kill this guy here, or if there's a guy here, or if as you run out, oops, You see a guy like under heaven, you can just kill him really quick. That's like reading the habit of, oh, they're never ready for something fast, or they hold on to their nades. That's another thing you should read into, right? How do they use their nades at A as a CT, for example? Do they always smoke mid? I mean, A main, right off the bat? How do they play off of that smoke? Do they ever pop flash in on ecos? Or when their money's low, do they like sitting on this box? These are all habits you have to be aware of as well. It's not simply what to do or what they do. It's about how they do things as well. There's no simple conclusion I can make off of this video aside from look at everything they do, look for common things they do more than once, maybe like 2 times in you know, 6 rounds, 3 times in a row, 4 times and a half. Sometimes you'll find those habits if you keep a log of every round they've played in your head, every gun round they play, every anti-eco they play, every eco they play. You know, if you have a good understanding of those habits, then it becomes easier to counter those habits and to beat them, not even through aim, but just by outplaying them. And that's what demos are. Anyway, I hope this helps. I hope you understand this concept and can apply it to your own games. And if you do, good shit. That's some good shit right there. Peace.